Hi there, this is Matt with State of Flux, here with another one of my Studio Ghibli reviews, this time talking about Only Yesterday. This is Isao Takahata's follow-up to Grave of the Fireflies, and much like that film, he abandons all kinds of sensationalism to give you a real lived-in feel. In fact, this movie is one that, upon my first viewing, I didn't really connect with. I first saw it about 5-6 years ago, in 2019, and well, I thought it was fine. It was kind of only just that. And I had been really excited to watch it because it was one of the few Ghibli movies I hadn't seen. Revisiting it now that I'm older, even only just a little bit older, it's a film that's about a person who is ruminating on their past. And maybe it's just that I've aged into that point in my life where I am ruminating about growing up and how I wanted to live back then versus how I'm living now, and how those two thoughts kind of feed into each other. That it connected with me so very much more. This film is genuinely great, and it's one that I feel like I will come to appreciate even more as time goes on. As I said, this is a film about a young woman who's ruminating on her past experiences, and you're getting juxtaposed stories of her at age 10 versus her at age about 30. And whenever it goes back into the memory of this girl, which takes up much of the screen time, everything is faded. Everything is indistinct, except for the people and the subjects of the scene. But the landscape, the scenery, is a bit foggy and not fully realized, as if it's a memory. And I feel like this film captures what a memory kind of feels like in that kind of nostalgic sense, better than many, if most movies that I can possibly think of. It's really neat to see how that juxtaposes with the incredibly clear and vivid and realistic setting that you get whenever we jump back to that character when she is in her older state. And the film has her farming quite a bit. There's a lot of agricultural talk in this that the director seems to really be interested in. And that excuses exquisite landscape shots where you see the distinct difference of the scenery around the character in those memories versus how it's utilized in the present day stuff as she's older, because everything is clear, everything is vibrant and gorgeous. You get a great sunset shot, you get a great night rain shot, where not only the rain looks good after the rain is wound up and the car is driving through the street, you see the headlights glistening off of the dew that's on the leaves. And it's just kind of exquisite in how that is portrayed. This film was somewhat evocative of the movie Afterlife, which I saw for the first time just a couple of weeks ago due to one of my coworkers. Shout out to Alex if you're watching this. That's an exquisite film, and it gets you to kind of think back upon the whole of your life. And this one, in a similar way, got me to think back of my childhood and that kid that I was versus the adult I am now, and how that boy's experiences fed to the person I am now and stuff. This is exactly what this movie does. It's exquisite because it gets you thinking not only about the film and the character and her experiences, but your very own and everything that you take with you to this table. And it's neat because my understanding is that the framework of this film, of her ruminating back on her childhood, was a framing device exclusively for the film, for this is based on a Japanese manga that is just sort of loose stories as told by this young girl who is trying to navigate life. And there's no true connective tissue to it besides it's the same girl and it's a bunch of short stories, little issues, if you will. And this film devises this, and yet it's that stuff that makes this film so much more than if it had just been a series of slice-of-life moments with this kid back in the 1960s. Or even if it's this adult ruminating on a past in the 1980s or whatever. It's the coupling of them and that framework that really makes this something truly special. And as I say, it reminded me a little bit of the feel I got with Afterlife. Or another one that kind of reminded me was the film A Silent Voice. Now, both A Silent Voice has a much more dynamic and willful plot with major stakes to it. It's literally life and death at some point. This film doesn't really concern itself with that. Like I said, Takahata had no interest in sensationalism, really. There's almost no fantasy elements to this film. This is a movie that could have been shot in live action, but isn't. And similar to Waking Life, not Waking Life, Afterlife, which is also about a person's life post-death, that feels like it has stakes grander than the whole of this. So this feels sort of like a film that may have inspired both of these other filmmakers, because be it the tonal framework that this film has, being so similar to at least my experience of reading Afterlife, or the style of film, and a portion of this film concerns itself with the lead character having bullied somebody and feeling so horrific about it, but maybe that fed into A Silent Voice. I'm not really sure. I'd be curious to look into that, in point of fact. But this, needless to say, is an exquisite film. I did watch the dubbed version, and I really like the dubbed version of this film. Daisy Ridley does the adult narration and voices her character as an adult, and she is fantastic. My daughter watched the back half of this film with me, and she kept commenting on how Daisy Ridley has such a soothing voice, and she kind of got roped into this film that I didn't think any kid would really respond to, but she seemed to get enveloped by it. And Daisy Ridley, it genuinely gives her this really nice performance, and Dev Patel does as well. I really like some of their scenes, and there's a beautiful examination of nature and how we feed into nature and nature feeds into us that he talks about in the car. They have multiple car rides throughout the film, but one in particular around the midsection of the movie has them driving, and he's talking about how he treats kindly the cherries and the apples and the fruits, for he hopes that when he consumes them they will ultimately treat him well in return. And that was just kind of a neat little aside. This film is filled with a lot of those just micro-human moments, even though there's nothing sensational, nothing really of interest truly that happens in much of this movie. So much of this movie is built upon that small little micro bits of humanity that I just found myself falling in love with this film this time around. And I'm excited to try and revisit it in a year or two down the line to see if it hits me in a different way even then. It has grown on me in such a unique and interesting way. I cannot sing the praises of it more. It is a spectacular film, and one that if you're like me, you haven't really engaged with too much, maybe give it another shot, because maybe all it takes is just a little bit of that, just time, for you to appreciate what happened only yesterday. The next film that I'm going to be exploring, I believe, is Ocean Waves, which I have never seen before. So this will be the first Ghibli that I have had zero exposure to, right down to the fact that I don't even know what this film's about. I assume it has something to do with a coastline. But yeah, that'll be coming at you next week. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment area down below. Peace.